Hey guys, Metalcaloid28 back again, here to bring you guys another video. This one's going to be doing part 12 of my 2014 Mets regular season series, and holy shit, I can't believe I can report now that the Mets are actually still in the race right now. The wildcard race, that is. They are officially 5.5 games out of the wildcard behind the Pittsburgh Pirates for the second wildcard spot, and they would have to jump 4 teams in order to claim that spot by the end of the season. Now, whether that's likely to happen or not remains to be seen. But right now, I can tell you, I can happily report that the Mets are on a little bit of a winning streak. Okay, they are on a 4-game winning streak, and they've won 8 of their last 10 games. Okay, and mainly those games have been at home. So it's really good signs for the Mets, at least for the rest of 2014. At least Mets fans have something to look forward to in the month of September. And I don't think I've had said that in years, that the Mets have meaningful games in September. So let's just, even if they don't make the playoffs, which is probably not going to happen, let's just be happy that they're at least somewhat relevant in September, even though they're still under 4 games under 500. But the National League this year is considerably weak, so the wildcard spot is not going to take too many wins to secure the spot. It's probably going to take 85 or 83 to 85 wins to secure that second wildcard spot, in all honesty. So the Mets could actually aim for that. I mean, it's just what it is. But they're going to have to win at least like 13 of their last 19 games in order to win the wildcard. And then a lot of help from teams like Pittsburgh, Atlanta, Milwaukee, Miami. They have to all lose, okay? Like especially Pittsburgh and Atlanta, they have to lose a lot. And the Mets have a lot of games coming up, against teams that are ahead of them in the wildcard. They have the Marlins for a series. They have the Braves. So They have some games, and then remember the last series of the year is against the Astros. That's a really bad team, so the Mets would, if they're still in contention at that point, which I highly doubt, they would be able to at least know that they have an easy team to end the season on and try to secure some wins there, possibly a sweep. So we'll see what happens. But in this video, the main objective of this video, like I said in a couple comments to some guys that responded on my last video, part 11. Was, to come out with another set of options of moves that the Mets can make in the offseason to finally have that breakthrough year in 2015. But before I get into that, I just want to make a couple comments. Besides the whole wild card race that the Mets are somewhat in right now, and, the winning streak and all that stuff, I want to talk about some aspects of them improving for 2015. Now, I'm going to post 2 articles down below in this video once I'm done, and one of them is going to be about the recent report that the Mets are trying to move in the fences again at Citi Field, particularly right center field. They're trying to move it in at least 10 to 15 feet. Now, whether that's going to benefit Curtis Granderson and David Wright, I mean, that's clearly the obvious reason why they're doing that. So they know Granderson and Wright are here for years to come. They want to make sure that they have their power in right center field. So they're most likely going to move the fences in. So that's something that's going to happen. I'm going to put the article explaining that in the video in the comments below. Also, I have bad news in terms of payroll for next year. Sandy Alderson has already basically come out and basically said that they're not gonna sign free agents next year. They're not gonna go and sign at least big free agents. So forget about Hanley Ramirez and guys like that. That's not happening. Okay, he's already said the payroll's gonna be around the same where it was this year, which is around $86 million. That's what it's gonna be around. I do see them probably stretching their dollars a little bit, maybe an extra $4 million to get in the $90 million range, but nothing higher than that. I really don't see that happening. So that's pretty bad news. So, however, it's not as bad as you think. Now, Met fans like me, I'm guilty of this as well, feel like the Mets have to go out and sign a big-time bat for left field and a big-time bat for shortstop, and have that type of 2006 offense that they had that year when they were a mammoth offense, when they had guys like Reyes and Wright and Beltran, Delgado, LaDuca, Floyd, Green, Valentine, must I go on? I mean, that offense was historically good for the Mets. I mean, that's one of their best offenses of all time. I think we can say that now. However, that proves that offense does not win in baseball, okay? Clearly, it does not. It's good to have at least a mediocre offense, which the Mets don't even have. They have a below-average offense. But it does prove that offense does not win you ball games in baseball, because the Mets had the best offense in baseball that year, and they did not win the World Series. They didn't even get to the World Series, okay? They were 1 game from getting to the World Series, and they lost to the Cardinals, okay? And it proved that pitching is still dominant in baseball and is still going to get you that ring. So that's why the Mets went out and had this whole new philosophy with Sandy Alderson starting in 2011 to shed payroll, rebuild. You rebuild the team by sending veterans away, sending their contracts away for building a pitching foundation, which the Mets have pretty much done. They drafted Harvey, which was obviously Omar Minaya. That was not Sandy Alderson, but he inherited Matt Harvey. He traded for Zach Wheeler. He traded for Noah Syndergaard. He obviously had Jacob deGrom coming up in the system as well. He had Dylan G coming up in the system. He signed Cologne. He has Hefner, which, by the way, he's not coming next year, which sucks. He had Jonathan Neese as well inherited. So, he had a lot of pieces there. And then for the bullpen, he obviously had Parnell already. He had Mejia, and he had Familia. Then he traded for Rick Black. He has Herman as well. So and then obviously Josh Edgin he has as well. So you see the pitching is coming completely together for the Mets. That's their strength. Okay, their bullpen is a strength now. We can say that. Their rotation is obviously their biggest strength. Their defense is pretty good as well. It's just their offense. They're missing 2 guys, left field and shortstop. Let's just put it straight and simple. That's all they need. So it seems like what the Mets can do then is a series of options that I have made up for this video as well, similar to my last video. It's going to be a series of 3 options. The first 2 being more realistic, while the third one is kind of far-fetched and out there, and it's kind of like a pipe dream, but we're going to hope that they can do that. So let's go over it. My first option, this one's a little out there, okay, because you guys don't know this player, but the first thing the Mets obviously are going to do in all 3 of my options is to trade Bartolo Colon to shed his contract, okay, and I think the team to take on his contract most realistically would be the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. They obviously have roots with Colon as he's pitched for them before. They're in a huge market, Los Angeles. They have a lot of money. They have a huge payroll, and they need pitching. Okay, so what more can they do than sign a guy like Colon? If they can't go after a guy like Shields in the offseason, or obviously Scherzer, why not go after a mid-market guy like Bartolo Colon and take his contract? And if the Mets want to get a garbage prospect in return, so be it. I mean, that trade needs to just be a salary dump, plain and simple. So that's the first move. Now, the nitty-gritty right here. Left field is the first one they're going to address, in my opinion. They're going to go out and they should sign another Cuban defector who obviously defected from Cuba a couple months ago in June. He goes by the name of Yasmani Tomas. Now, this guy, the scouting report on him is that he has the power capacity similar to Jose Abreu of hitting 25 to 30 home runs per year. Low average, slow bat speed, slow runner, but he's only I believe he's only 24 years old, so he's extremely young, and I don't see why not. He plays left field, perfect. This guy, big frame, kind of short though, a little chubby, similar to Pablo Sandoval. He kind of looks like him, except a little skinnier. So, someone like him. And he's a righty, so he's not a lefty like Sandoval. But sign him to a 5-year, $70 million deal. I believe that can get it done for Yasmani Tomas. That's the first move they should do. Go in the Cuban market. Just get him. And then the second move would be for shortstop, and this is my trade package. You call up the Cubs, and you trade Noah Syndergaard, Dylan G, and Kevin Plawecki for Javier Baez. That would be your trade there for shortstop. Now, you shed some payroll there with G's contract, Syndergaard and Plawecki, I guess, and then Baez doesn't really cost anything at all, so you're losing like $3 million there in that deal. And then the last deal I think the Mets should do, now that we see Herrera up in the majors playing really well at second base, he was obviously acquired in the Vic Black trade last year, in the Marlon Byrd Buck trade last year, along with Vic Black. He is 20 years old, he's going to be 21 next year, obviously, and he's the second baseman of the future for the Mets, let's just be real. So, the Mets should trade Daniel Murphy for a late-inning reliever, particularly maybe a closer. And I would go out to Oakland, since they are particularly well with making trades for relievers, particularly acquiring relievers, not really letting them go. But I think they did let go of Blevins last year to the Nationals. So I think they should let go of Sean Doolittle for Daniel Murphy straight up. The Mets would shed $10 million in this deal with Murphy's contract and then add on $2 million from Doolittle's contract, so they're shedding $8 million in this contract. So overall, as I scroll down here in my notes, overall the lineup would look like this. Lagares would be leading off with Herrera batting second at second, Wright batting third at third. Tomas, your cleanup hitter in left field. Baez, your fifth hitter in shortstop. Granderson now down in the sixth hole at right field. I think I got this wrong. Hold on. Darnell, 7th at catcher. Who am I missing here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, sorry, I forgot about Duda. All right, so Lagares first, leading off in center. Herrera second at second base. Wright at third and third base. Tomas cleaning up in left field. Duda batting fifth. Duda batting fifth at first base. Baez at shorts, batting sixth. Granderson in the 7th hole, batting in right field. Darno in 8th at catcher, and then the pitcher spot. Your bullpen would be Parnell or Doolittle be your closer, and then the other guy would be the 8th inning guy. Familia will be your 7th inning guy. Black, Edgen, Herman, all your middle relievers, and I believe Henry Mejia should be in a new role in the bullpen next year and be that long relief guy to replace Carlos Torres. I don't think Carlos Torres should be in the majors anymore, so let's just get that straight. Now, as for the overall payroll, since now we really have to worry about payroll now after Sandy Alderson's comments, we need to make sure the payroll ranges between $80 and $90 million, okay? So, with the move for Young and Colon, okay, with shedding Young's contract this year, which they have done, and if they trade for Colon, they shed his contract, the payroll will jump all the way down from $86 million to $67.75 million. That's very low. You add on $14 million per year, which is Tomas's contract, right? And their payroll jumps up to $81.75 million. So it's already, it's getting up there now. Now, in the Baez trade, you're shedding $3 million. Basically for G, and then the $1 million from like Syndergaard and Plawecki's contract gets offset with Baez's contract, so it's just shedding $3 million. The payroll bounces down to $78.75 million, and then in the Doolittle trade, you're shedding $10 million while adding $2 million from Murphy to Doolittle, so you're basically shedding $8 million. The payroll will jump down to $70.75 million. And then with the arbitration raises, the expected amount this year was around $12 million, so we'll say around the same next year, especially if Murphy's not here. $12 million. The payroll would bounce up to $82.75 million as the final tally for the payroll for 2015. Booyah! Option 1 can totally happen. The Mets just need to do it. They need to get really creative this offseason. It's not as simple as many people think. They can't just go out and make a signing for shortstop and left field and just one trade here. No, they have to make like 2 or 3 trades and a signing. That's what's going to get it done in 2015. Now, that's option 1. You guys will comment below on what you guys think about that. Option 2. This one's a little bit more out there, but it's possible. Now, it involves the Red Sox, okay? Obviously, after Colon gets traded, this is my next move. You go out and you try to trade for Yoenis Cespedes. Now, there's an article on this as well on why the Mets should trade for him, so I'm going to post that as well down below to support my claim here. I'm not just bullshitting and making this up. This is actually a true thing why the Mets should trade for Cespedes. Now, the Red Sox just signed Yasmani Castillo, another Cuban defector in the outfield. They have Alan Craig. They have Victorino. They have Mookie Betts, their prospect. They have a lot of guys. They don't really need Cespedes. I think the package for them would be Noah Syndergaard, Kevin Plawecki, and Brendan Nimmo for Cespedes. I think that's very realistic of happening. Then I think once they do that, they don't really have that many pieces left to trade for a big time shortstop or sign a big time shortstop. So I think they need to go with a smaller shortstop trade and trade Dylan G and Steven Matz, okay, for a shortstop of a mid-level talent, a guy like Chris Owings or Didi Gregorius from Arizona, or Brad Miller from Seattle. Any one of those 3 guys, I think, would get it done for G and Matz for sure. And then, of course, I would still trade Daniel Murphy for Sean Doolittle. And then, in the trade for Cespedes, I think they shouldn't do it unless they have an agreement on the table for him to sign a 6-year, $75 million extension starting in 2016, which is when he's a free agent. So then the lineup is going to look like this. Lagares leading off in center, Herrera batting second at second, Wright batting third at third, Cespedes, your cleanup guy in left field, Duda, your 5th batter at first base, Granderson down in the 6th hole at right field, Darno catching at batting 7th, and then shortstop batting 8th, Owings, Gregorius, or Miller, and then the pitcher spot. The bullpen is exactly the same, like I said in my first option. Parnell or Doolittle closing, the other being the 8th inning guy, and so on. And now for the payroll. The same thing with Young and Colon's contract off the books if they do trade Colon, down to $67.75 million. Now, in the trade for Cespedes, you're shedding $1 million with the contracts of Syndergaard, Plawecki, and Nimmo, but you're adding $10.5 million that he's going to make next year. So the payroll is going to bounce up to $77.25 million. So it's a little up there. Now, in the trade for the shortstop, Owings, Gregorius, Miller, you're shedding $3 million in G's contract, and you're adding around, like, you know, $1 million in the contract of Owens, Gregorius, or Miller. So the payroll will then bounce down to $75.25 million. And then the trade for Murphy, you're shedding $8 million because of his 10, plus shedding his 10 that he's expected to make through arbitration next year, and then Doolittle's $2 million. So the payroll would bounce all the way down to $67.25 million. And then you add on $12 million with the arbitration raises, and the payroll would be around $79.25 million. Let's just say $80 million. Let's just round it up to $80 million for, you know, for even's sake. That is a very realistic payroll for the Mets. And that's what I'm trying to make. That's the point I'm trying to make in this video. It's not all about payroll. The Mets don't need $100 million to have a winning club. They just need to be smart with the acquisitions they make. They got to make trades. They're not doing this offseason with free agents. They got to make some trades happen. And now, finally, option fucking 3. The biggest option I have here. It's even more far-fetched than the David Wright option I had in my last video. This one is gonna make some people excited, and is most likely not gonna happen. But there is an article on this exact move. So my claim on option 3 is backed up by an article. I just made a few tweaks in the trade package. So I'm gonna also post that in my video. So I'm going to post a total of like 3 or 4 articles in this video. So, you know, all my claims are backed up in terms of the moving in the fences, the payroll statements from Sandy Alderson, and then of course the what else? The Cespedes trade, and then the trade I'm going to talk about right now. And it's for Giancarlo Stanton. Yes, I fucking said it. Giancarlo Stanton from the Miami Marlins. Here is the trade package. You start off with Noah Syndergaard and Kevin Plawecki. You add Daniel Murphy, okay? You add Steven Matz, you add Dylan G, and you add Brandon Nimmo, and that gets it done for Giancarlo Stanton. Whether or not that gets it done, that remains to be seen. But in the article, it stated that they wanted the deal to center around Syndergaard, Plawecki, Herrera instead of Murphy, Matz, Wheeler instead of G, and then no Nimmo. So basically what I did was I tweaked it a little bit. I added Syndergaard, Plawecki, and Matz, just like they said. But instead of Herrera, I added a proven Major League second baseman in Daniel Murphy, which I think that's actually better for them. And then, instead of Wheeler, I added a combination of both Dylan G and Brandon Nimmo. I feel like those two as a combination for the Marlins instead of Wheeler has some upside, okay? It might not be the same level, but it has upside, obviously, because Nimmo is a huge outfield prospect for the Mets. And Dylan G's a pretty solid pitcher, so I don't see why they can't do that. And then that would be fringing upon the fact that the Mets are going to need to give Stan a contract extension. They can't just make this trade without having him agree to a contract extension. He's a free agent in 2017, so I think that he is going to get the contract he deserves. He's going to be the first $300 million player in baseball, okay? $300 million, okay, for 10 years. That's the deal the Mets are going to have to give him starting in 2017. I highly fucking doubt the Mets have the money to do that, okay? They're not going to do that, but let's just say for option 3's sake, that's what they're going to have to do in order to get him. And then the other move I would do now, since you basically traded all your pieces away, you're going to have to go through free agency now to sign a shortstop, or do it internally with shortstop options. I'd rather the free agent route. They go out and they sign a shortstop like J.J. Hardy or Asdrubal Cabrera. Both of them would command a 4-year, $52 million deal, similar to the one that Johnny Peralta got with the Cardinals last year. So once you do that, the last move I would do is sign a late inning reliever. You can't trade for a reliever now since Murphy got traded in the Stanton trade. So I would go out and try to sign a closer like Houston Street, 3 years, $27 million, which is basically $9 million per year. So with all these moves here, and the Mets are able to keep both Herrera and Conforto. They don't trade either one of those guys. I feel like the Mets would be over the top with this option. Their lineup would look like this now: Lagares and Herrera first, second, and right at third. Okay, batting third. So Lagares, Herrera right, first, second, and third. You see the routine here. It's been like that in every option I've said. So those are the first 3 guys, with the exception that the cleanup hitter is getting changed in all of my options. So obviously Stan would be cleaning up. The cleanup hitter in right field, Duda batting 5th at first, Granderson batting 6th in left, Darno batting 7th at catcher, and then J.J. Hardy or Asdrubal Cabrera batting 8th at shortstop. My God, what a good lineup that is. The bullpen is relatively the same, except that Street would be your closer, Parnell would be your 8th inning guy, Familia your 7th inning guy, Black, Edgin, Herman, and Mejia to round out your bullpen. And let's talk about the payroll. Now, Obviously, after Young and Colon's contract gets off the books, assuming Colon gets traded, again, the payroll down to $67.75 million. You're following? Okay. Now, in the Stanton trade, bear with me. You're shedding $3 million, okay? First, you're shedding $3 million with Dylan G's contract. You're shedding $10 million in Daniel Murphy's contract. And you're shedding roughly $2 million in the contracts of Syndergaard, Plawecki, Matz, and Nimmo combined. And then you're adding roughly $10 million of what Stanton is going to make in arbitration next year. That's an estimate. So, the payroll would bounce all the way down to $62.75 million after the Stanton trade. Yes, the payroll would bounce down if the Mets trade for Stanton, okay? The way I said they would. That's unbelievable. Now, the payroll is going to get up considerably high now after this move. The Mets payroll would jump up $13 million in the Hardy or Cabrera deal, right, to $75.75 million. Okay, now that's what they're looking at. And then if they add a $9 million contract per year for Street, the payroll would bounce up to $84.75 million. You see it's getting a little high now for at least the Mets. And then add the $12 million in arbitration. The payroll would be roughly around $96.75 million. So that's a little bit of a stretch. I don't think the Mets are going to do this. But that remains to be seen. So, there you guys have it. Those are my 3 options for this video, part 12 of my Mets regular season series. I want you guys to please comment down below. Let's start a discussion with this. Let's go left and forward. Let's go back and forth, back and forth. I want to have a full-blown discussion, especially on option 3, on what do you guys think about my options. Do you think it's realistic? Do you think the Mets can actually pull this off? Do you have other options of other deals that you would like to bring up in my video in my comments down below? I will respond to you as soon as I can, as always. So yeah, that's it for this one. I'm most likely gonna make one more video. Yes, that's right, one more video for my 2014 Mets regular season series, and it's gonna be at the end of the year, the end of the regular season, which is probably roughly now 2.5 weeks away. So yeah, my videos do range to have an average of 2 weeks in between anyway, so 2.5 weeks won't really hurt. Of course, I'm still always going to be here unless something dramatic happens and the Mets find themselves like on a 7, 8, 9 game winning streak or something. Then I probably will come out with like a mini video in between than just having a status update on the Mets. But if not, I will wait till the very end of the season to come out with my last video for the 2014 Mets regular season series. And then I will take a little break during the postseason so that everyone can have a chance to watch the postseason, you know, watch the World Series. And then right when the World Series is over, I will begin my 2015 Mets offseason series. Just like I started this channel with my 2014 Mets offseason series, I will continue with my 2015 Mets offseason series. So that's a couple of updates for my channel, just so you guys know. So, as always, I do support you guys. I support... not support. I enjoy the support that you guys are giving me on this channel to try to let it keep going. So please keep subscribing to my channel so I can keep coming out with Mets videos. And let's go Mets. Let's hope that they surprise us and go on a huge fucking winning streak. And guys, let's just be optimistic here. It has happened before. The Mets were able to collapse in 2007 and 2008. Must I remind you, they had 17 games left. They were up 7 games, and they pretty much blew it. Okay, in the division. The same thing can happen with the Pirates and the Braves. They can collapse here, and the Mets can be the team to take advantage. It's happened before, and it's a shorter lead, okay, with more games. Okay, we have 19 games left. Mets are 5.5 games out. They would need a divine miracle to make the playoffs, but it is still possible mathematically. The E number right now for the Mets is at 12. So let's see. Right now they have a tough task. They're going to play 4 games against the Nationals. Oh boy, I know, they suck against the Nationals, but let's just see what happens. So, let's pray, let's go fucking Mets, let's see what happens. I'm going to post 4 articles down below in my video, or actually I believe it's 3 articles, because one of the articles is combined with 2 theories about the Mets bringing in the fences and then saying Alderson's payroll comments. Yeah, that's actually one article together. So I'm going to post in total 3 articles, one on that, the dimensions for Citi Field, the fences being brought in, as well as Sandy Alderson's payroll comments, and then my next 2 articles will be the one on the Cespedes trade and the one on the Stanton trade. So you guys will enjoy that. Read that there. Those are my sources, and that's it. I'm gonna call it here. It's been fun, you guys. One more video. That's all that's remaining. So That's it for me. I'm Metallicaloid28, guys. You guys have a great day. Let's go Mets. Let's keep the faith. I'm out.